With dozens of streaming services and thousands of movies to choose from, it can be difficult to choose what horror movies to add to your watch list, so I'm here to help. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 10 more must-watch horror films that you can find right now on Hulu. Welcome into the Nonstop Horror YouTube channel, your new favorite place for horror movie recommendations and to talk about the genre all year long. My name is Cameron and I am stoked about today's list. We've got some heavy hitters in there, but also a lot of hidden horror gems that you're going to want to add to your watch list ASAP. These sneaky platforms are constantly changing, so make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date on what horror movies are streaming on what platforms. Now let's get to that list. Azrael is a Shudder original that is currently streaming on Hulu, and this is a fun, unique, crazy horror movie. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic world, and Samara Weaving is part of a cult who are required to have their vocal cords removed, so they're unable to speak. That's right. The unique factor in this film is that there is no dialogue. There might be a line or two spoken by a certain character, but other than that, everybody just shuts the fuck up. In a world where no one speaks, a devout female-led community hunts down a young woman who has escaped imprisonment. Recaptured, Azrael is due to be sacrificed to an ancient evil in the wilderness, but fights for her own survival. So because of the lack of dialogue, the film could easily fall apart, but the sound design is on point. I hope the sound team got paid well on this because in place of dialogue, we get weird creature noises, creepy wind to build that atmosphere, and some truly unsettling horrors to make your skin crawl and drive home the fact that this is a horrifying, terrible world that our characters now live in. There are some aspects of this film that reminded me of The Descent, others that made me think of A Quiet Place, and of course two other biblical horror movies that came out last year along with Azrael, which would be The First Omen and Immaculate. The star of Azrael is Samara Weaving, and her uncanny ability to make any movie interesting just by filling the screen is clearly evident in Azrael. I don't think I could name another lead that would carry this concept as well as Samara Weaving. And yes, we do get a blood-covered Samara Weaving. This movie is action-packed and it takes risks that a lot of other religious horror is too scared to take. And if The First Omen and Immaculate hadn't come out last year, this would have been much more impactful. All three of these movies are coincidentally available on Hulu, so it could make for a godly triple feature. So After Midnight is an indie horror romantic drama film about a man whose girlfriend up and leaves him and only leaves behind a cryptic note. She says she had to go away for a while and that's pretty much it. His comfy life and sanity begin to crack and he starts to lose it a little bit. And on top of that heartbreak, something mysterious from the woods surrounding his property has begun trying to break into his house every night. This has non-linear storytelling to it. It cuts back and forth between these special moments between the two of them throughout their whole relationship and then present day and the things that he's dealing with right now. It's definitely a cosmic horror similar to The Endless, Resolution, Spring, with a touch of creature feature. It takes place in an isolated rural town, so if you like those types of movies, this is right up your alley. It does have the same team that brought us Spring, The Endless, and The Battery. Jeremy Gardner takes up the responsibility of directing and lead actor, as he also does in The Battery. Justin Benson also stars as a cop in the film. It's a bit on the slower end and may not be straight up horror, but the underlying mystery is going to keep you hooked and draw you in throughout the entire 80-minute runtime. So the third act will either make or break the film for you, and for me, it made it. There's a dialogue between two characters that lasts, damn near 10 minutes maybe, and it's all done in one continuous shot. Amazing performances here, and it made the movie for me. The creature design is unique and otherworldly, and yeah, the mystery itself just had me hooked the entire time, and this went places that I didn't expect it to. I thought I knew what was happening at one point, but then something completely different happened. So yeah, if you like that rural setting and kind of mysterious, I get the romantic vibes is what I'm going to go with here. The crux of the movie is the two lead characters' relationship. But yeah, this is just horror indie filmmaking at its finest. It's scary at times, a couple jump scares. Like I said, the creature design is amazing, and yeah, it's a lot. There's a big character study in it as well, and yeah, I don't know. Just go check it out. I really enjoyed this more than I thought it would. If sleepwalking episodes terrify you, then you should definitely check out Sleep. This is a South Korean film, so you know it's going to be a banger. It's the directorial debut of Jason Yu, and let me tell you, this is an impressive piece of work. for a new director. So Sleep is about a young woman who is pregnant and dealing with the fact that her husband has been experiencing these sleepwalking episodes, and they seem to be getting more and more intense and nightmarish. She wants to stop the horror before he ends up seriously harming himself or his family. The man is an actor, and she's kind of in the corporate world, and he's a little bit more focused on his career as an aspiring actor, so he kind of treats it as like no biggie, and of course doesn't take it as seriously as the wife does. This is a slow burn psychological horror film that kind of becomes a battle between trying to convince someone that something is real and them not really believing you, and the biggest issue becomes, is Hyun-soo actually having this disorder that the doctors have diagnosed him with, or is he possessed by a now deceased former neighbor? That's what it kind of becomes. Is it possession, or is it actually sickness? The couple each have different ideas about how they should tackle this issue that they're facing, and the leads in this are amazing, by the way, and unfortunately the lead actor, Lee Sun-kyun, is no longer with us. He also starred in Parasite, and he gives a hell of a performance in this flick alongside Jung Yoo-mi. Fair warning, if you don't like bad things happening to dogs in your movies, stay away from this one, or at least check doesthedogdie.com to see when you should skip. It's pretty mild, but you do see the body of a deceased dog. Lastly, to put a pin in this movie, this is probably the only movie in recent memory that has the ability to put PowerPoints back on the map. If you know, you know. Something in the Dirt is the latest full-length feature from one of my favorite filmmaking duos in Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson, creators of films like Synchronic, The Endless, and Resolution, and they even produced After Midnight, which we've already talked about here. They helped produce that, and like I said, Justin Benson stars in that film. If you haven't watched anything by them yet, you need to, because they have entirely unique visions and directing styles. They've really carved out their own little niche in the movie-making world. So when neighbors John and Levi witness supernatural events in their LA apartment building, they realize that documenting the paranormal could inject some fame and fortune into their wasted lives. As with most of Benson and Moorhead's films, don't expect a whole lot to be resolved necessarily. They definitely love living in the cosmic horror space where a lot is left to the imagination, and it's kind of a toss-up between what's real and what's not quite real. The duo also stars the two leads in the film, as can be predicted, and like always, they do a wonderful job of playing these conflicted characters who don't seem quite satisfied with life and are wanting to find a higher purpose. And in Something in the Dirt, they're doing that by trying to capture these supernatural happenings for their documentary, while also falling down a rabbit hole leading to potential conspiracies and danger that they put themselves in. If you love sci-fi horror, conspiracy theories, and inexplicable scientific events, you gotta check out Something in the Dirt. Side note, I feel like such a loser not realizing that Benson and Moorhead are now working on Marvel projects like Loki and Moon Knight. I've been a bit removed from the Marvel universe for a bit now because of the fatigue I was getting from that universe and those movies, but it's cool to see this unique filmmaking duo getting those huge projects and opportunities. Dashcam is a found footage horror film presented in a live stream format. It's directed by Rob Savage, who also did Host, and similar to Host, it takes place during the COVID-19 pandemic and is done in a found footage style format. Now, Host is presented as a Zoom call between a few friends, and in Dashcam, it's mostly from the main character's iPhone during her live stream. So in Dashcam, our main character, Annie, travels to London to escape the US's strict COVID-19 restrictions to go visit her friend, an ex-bandmate. Now, interestingly, the idea actually came to Rob Savage after seeing a series of videos that the main character, the actress, who is also named Annie Hardy, she uploaded these to YouTube, and it's called Bandcam, where she would work out song ideas with her viewers. So in the movie, the two friends embark on a horror-filled road trip and livestream the most terrifying night of their lives, according to IMDb. Calling it a road trip is not entirely accurate, but we'll go with that. And the thing that kicks off all of the horror is Annie steals her friend's car and decides to give a ride to a woman who isn't what she appears. I know that feels like such a cliche start to a horror story, but it is what it is. We've got to talk about the main character. She's extremely unlikable and very conservative. She's literally MAGA, and this does take place during COVID-19, so you can imagine the views she has and how she acts. If that's not something you vibe with, then maybe skip it, but at the same time, maybe you'll enjoy watching a character who deserves what's coming to her. Dashcam is a fun watch. The horror elements are very effective and scary. There are a few good jump scares. You'll see it has like a 4.5 on IMDb, and the biggest problem people have with the movie is the main character, like I've already talked about. So aside from that, it's a pretty good flick, and I think it's very underrated. Would you save your bullies' lives if they were in danger? That's the question posed by our next film, Piggy. It's based on a short film of the same name. It's a Spanish film, and the overall theme is basically bully revenge. So all of Sarah's bullies have given her the name Piggy, as you could have guessed by now, and they torment her while she's at the local swimming pool. They even steal her clothes and belongings and make her walk home in just her bathing suit. Real tragic shit here. These bullies are pieces of shit. But on her walk home, she sees one of them bound and bloody in the back of a white van. And the bully inside the van tries yelling to Sarah for help, but Sarah kind of just says like, see you later, fuck off. She does nothing and goes about her day like nothing happened. Now, eventually she's forced to make a decision. Does she allow her bullies to potentially be tortured and murdered, potentially becoming an accomplice to those crimes, or does she try to help? Piggy feels very grounded in reality. A ton of us have dealt with bullying before in our life, so it's very relatable, and it puts a question to the test that I'm sure a lot of us have thought, wishing ill will upon those who do harm to us. The movie isn't inherently scary, it has a slasher vibe to it, and there are a couple of great bloody and gory moments, and it's a captivating thrill ride all throughout. On Hulu, Piggy is available in its original language, Spanish, or you can watch an English dub of it. I, of course, always prefer the original language with subtitles, but to each their own. I have given high praise to New Life a few times on the channel already, but this is the first time that it's streaming in the US. It was on my Netflix video, but that was only for the UK viewers. But now it's on Hulu in the US. In New Life, a woman is on the run trying to make it to the Canadian border, and she thinks that the FBI is after her for murder. But it's hinted in the trailer that they might be after her for a whole different reason. But what could that be? This is essentially like an on-the-run, infected horror movie. I think that gives you enough of the plot without spoiling too much. The standout in this movie is the performances of our two main characters in this one. We've got Haley Aaron as the woman who's on the run and Sonia Wagner as the agent who is trying to catch her. There's lovely performances by them both, and we kind of see this duality between these two characters, and we get to witness this arc that they both experience throughout the movie. If you like action movies where the characters are on the run from the police or any other government body, this is going to be for you. And of course, if you like infected/zombie movies, then you're also going to get a good kick out of this one. This is the first place I've seen this movie streaming in the US, like I said, so definitely jump on that. Hulu subscribers are getting an absolute treat here, as Oddity has escaped the confines of Shudder, which was the only spot you could watch it previously. And this is one of the best horror movies to come out of 2024, and it's a no-brainer to add to your watch list. The film centers on a blind woman who is haunted by the death of her twin sister 1 year prior. She travels to her deceased sister's home to try and figure out who exactly is responsible for her death. And she happens to own an Oddity store, so she brings along this creepy wooden statue thing, which is supposed to help her solve the mystery. Oddity is a simple and straightforward story. The tension and atmosphere that this movie conjures is unmatched, if you ask me, and the cinematography and sound design are big proponents of building that tension and atmosphere. The jump scares they utilize in the film are more effective because of this, and they're not just used for a scapegoat for a boring film. The jump scares actually carry the plot forward. Carolyn Bracken does a fantastic job of playing two different characters. She plays the twins. I felt unsettled throughout the whole movie, and the mystery grips you until the very end. Now, one last selling point I'll say is it's a movie that kind of feels like Hereditary and The Lodge had a baby. There's a lot of grief, dread, and just uncanny stillness. Hatching is a Finnish psychological horror film that came out in 2022. 12-year-old Tinja is desperate to please her mother, a woman obsessed with presenting the image of a perfect family. One night, Tinja finds a strange egg. She hides it, keeps it warm, and when it hatches, what emerges is beyond belief. This might be the weirdest film on this list, and without spoiling too much, the creature that hatches from the egg is just weird, and it goes through an evolution, shall we say, that ultimately makes the ending hit like a punch to the gut. Hatching has its gross moments for sure, it has its bloody moments, a lot of metaphors are sprinkled throughout. It's a small cast with great performances all throughout, and it's more creepy than scary, I would say, but it really surprised me and it felt like a breath of fresh air. Another warning here, like we talked about with sleep, just make sure to check doesthedogdie.com for the potential triggers in this movie and what parts you might want to skip if you watch it. I scoured some reviews on Letterboxd and noticed a sentiment that I think summarizes the movie well. It says that this movie would have fit right in with movies like The Babadook, It Follows, and The Possession, so it maybe came on the scene 10 years too late. But that's only in relation to how popular or how much buzz the movie did and can get. But maybe that'll change if enough of us show it some love. Go check out Hatching. We're finishing this list off with a cold one. This one's called No Exit. Stranded at a rest stop in the mountains during a blizzard, a recovering addict discovers a kidnapped child hidden in a car belonging to one of the people inside the building, which sets her on a terrifying struggle to identify who among them is the kidnapper. Thank you for that very long synopsis, IMDb. So this is based on a book, but I haven't read the book. I'm not a big reader, that's why I talk about movies. But if you have read the book, let me know how close the two are and if you enjoyed one over the other. This is a great mystery film, kind of a whodunit, where our main character is trying to read the other characters and figure out who could be a bad person and who has kidnapped this girl. Very suspenseful, very thriller-like. There's only light gore in this one, so it could be perfect to watch with someone who doesn't watch a ton of horror. It's definitely a popcorn horror flick. No Exit nails the one location horror vibes as well and has plenty of twists to keep you guessing the entire time. The performances were all stellar. The lead, Havana Rose Liu, really carries the movie and gives us a marvelous final girl performance. The plot is simple and straightforward. I had a good time with it, so if you want a suspense-filled thriller, put No Exit on tonight. Well, there you go. There are 10 must-watch horror movies currently streaming on Hulu. I tried finding some movies that were a little bit more on the hidden gem side of things, so I hope that this list really scratches that itch for you. If you've already seen all these movies by chance, or you go through all of them this weekend, make sure to subscribe to the channel and look out for the next video where I talk about more movie recommendations. Or you could always check out this playlist where I talk about all the streaming platforms and all the horror movies streaming on them. Hope you got some great horror movie recommendations from the video, and I'll see you in the next one.